Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So Nikki Haley is in a lot of trouble. She lost New Hampshire. She put all of her eggs into that basket, similarly to how Ron DeSantis put all of his eggs into Iowa. And in a head-to-head with Donald Trump in an electorate that was majority non-registered Republican, she could not even get within 10 points of Donald Trump. She spent a ridiculous amount of money there. She got donation from a lot of these neocon mega donors, but also some mega donors on the left as well, trying to prop her up and take on Trump, which also ironically disproves the notion that Democrats want to run against Trump because they know that Trump probably beats them more likely than not at this point. So they were propping up Haley because they can't beat Trump with Biden. At least right now, that's not what any polls are showing. So they tried to beat him with Haley, but it didn't work. She lost by 11 points. And even if you want to say that it was closer than what some people anticipated, on the flip side, there were also a lot more crossover voters than people anticipated, but still, it did not matter. And then we see mainstream media, even mainstream media who you would think would be more on the side of Haley than not, they're understanding that the writing is on the wall and that the door is closing faster than Nikki Haley thinks because she's delusional. She's not dropping out whatsoever. And it's absolutely astounding to me why she would stay in the race knowing that she has no pathway because she's just embarrassing herself, but she can afford to. She's getting all this donor money. She's going on a media tour. She's getting propped up by all these people. She's getting like the Liz Cheney endorsement, which she's earned, by the way, with all of her warmongering. But you look at this, and in the two polls that were released since this became a two-person race, Donald Trump is leading in Morning Consult 81-18. In Reuters, he leads 64-19. And there's no path forward here for Haley whatsoever if she can't even break 20% nationally. And she's probably in South Carolina going to be headed for a sizable defeat. Now, technically, Nevada's first, but she's not even qualifying for the Nevada caucus. She's opting to run in some primary that's not binding instead, where even then there's no guarantee that she wins it. It's possible that the none of these candidates option will beat her in that primary, but even if she wins every vote in the primary, it doesn't count. It doesn't matter. I don't know what the hell she's trying to do. So either way, South Carolina's up next, and it's going to be taking place about a month from now, and Haley is in her home state, but even then, she's not doing so hot. And you could look at polling. I don't believe we've had a lot of polling recently out of South Carolina, but you can add this up. Give DeSantis' support, give Vivek Ramaswamy's support to Trump. You'd have Trump at like 64 and then Haley, even if she gets all the Christie voters. And that's also an open primary. Let's say more Democrats cross over. She's probably going to get like 35% in her home state at most, which would be absolutely embarrassing for her. And it would just be yet another win for Trump. But even if she got within one vote of Trump, but lost, which she's not going to get that close, there's no pathway in South Carolina because it's a winner-take-all primary state. Trump is going to get all, 55 delegates or so? He's going to start running away with this thing, even in these open primaries, because she's not going to be able to come close to clearing the delegate threshold. And in terms of the amount of voters that are willing to cross over in these other open primary states, it's probably less than what you saw in New Hampshire, especially given the fact that that effort in New Hampshire failed. She didn't even come within 10 points of Trump. You feel like people are less likely to do that. But also, Trump's base is going to be more fired up to vote because they understand what's at stake, what's at play. Oh, no, it's not a guarantee. And I think that Donald Trump actually arguably did the right thing by saying that he doesn't want the RNC to coronate him because he wants to beat her the old-fashioned way, and that's true. You don't want them to have an asterisk next to this victory. You don't want them to, cheapen the gravity of his primary win. You don't. You could say, well, technically it would mean that they would just draft this resolution saying he's the presumptive nominee. But even so, what exactly does that necessarily do at this point? Because she's still going to be campaigning. She's still going to lose. Like, he's just saying, whatever. it is what it is. I'm going to beat her, and he will beat her. He already knows. And then Super Tuesday is going to be in early March, and it's going to be 36% of the total delegates available. So already you will have, by March 12th, you would have crossed the majority threshold, and Trump is probably going to be the presumptive nominee officially sometime in early to mid-March. And that we know. And that when it comes down to California, well, that's a closed primary, and Republicans are going to be voting heavily for Trump, even in New Hampshire, which was the closest state and might still be the closest state of this cycle. Registered Republicans broke for Trump 75-25, and that's with a lot of liberal Republicans living in New Hampshire, and that's also with the endorsement of the governor, Chris Sununu, who won his primary in 2022 overwhelmingly, backing Nikki Haley relentlessly. So overall, it's like, yeah, some of these open primaries like Texas and Michigan, they typically have a more conservative electorate. And you kind of saw this back in 2022 where Ken Paxton survived the primary runoff overwhelmingly against George P. Bush, where you would have anticipated a lot of crossover voting. It doesn't happen. So yeah, I mean, in some states like Georgia, we see a lot of crossover voting, but by then, is it exactly going to matter? Is it exactly going to be enough? Probably not, and that we know. So either way, we will see what happens. You look at the rest of March, like the only state she has a chance in, I believe, is a state like Vermont, or maybe in Washington, D.C., but even then, I don't believe that it would really matter. And then she would tie Trump in delegates in these states that don't exactly count or matter. Okay, have Vermont. Who cares at that point? There's no reason for her to stay in because she can't win. There's not. Either way, Trump is going to cross that delegate threshold sometime in March. So why exactly is she staying in? Well, we know exactly why. And there's a reason why she's getting support from Democrats. It's to weaken Trump. Here's an interview from New Hampshire of a Nikki Haley voter. Listen to this.
Christian, who did you vote for and why?
Yeah, so thank you. I voted for Nikki Haley, and it was certainly a strategic vote. I think the DNC is fairly resolute in their nomination for Joe Biden. And while I wouldn't vote for her in a general election, particularly on our differences with climate change solution, a women's right to bodily autonomy, or incarceration rates, I think a vote for Nikki Haley helps diminish Trump's influence. And
there you go. It diminishes Trump's influence. These are liberals. These are liberals who are not registered Democrats. You can easily register to an independent and then subsequently vote for Haley. There's a reason why the Democrat primary combined for far less votes than Nikki Haley and Donald Trump in New Hampshire. It's because these voters who voted for Nikki Haley, these are mainly voters who would never vote for Trump or even her in a general election. They just wanted to one-up Trump and to diminish his influence. And also you have this, you have former Biden campaign advisors basically saying what Haley's strategy is and saying the quiet part out loud, letting the mask slip a little bit. Listen to this.
Yeah, look, I think the thing with Haley is that she's defining when, as she probably won't say it, but not necessarily defeating Trump for the nomination, but weakening him.
There you go. She's weakening him. She's being propped up by these donors, many of whom are on the left, who want to weaken Trump. I feel like a lot of the people that supported her for these electability reasons or whatever, they've jumped ship. And it's not even true anymore. Haley's being attacked more, and now she's fallen behind Biden in the polls, where Trump has a record lead over Biden in the polls. Leading up to the 2020 election, Donald Trump led in 5 polls out of several hundred up to 2020 against Biden. He never led the aggregate. He never came close. I think the closest point was a 4-point lead for Biden. Now Donald Trump has flipped that on its head. He has a 4-point lead. I'm not saying the polls are guaranteed to be accurate because they're not, but you're looking at this. He is the most electable candidate. That's why they're trying to prop up somebody like Nikki Haley as the alternative to Donald Trump, because they want somebody that they can either beat Trump with in a primary or try to, make him use resources so he's not able to use them in a general election. And is this going to work out for them? Yeah, probably not when it's all said and done. So you're looking at the big picture. You look at some of these primaries after South Carolina, the polls are going to be looking even better and better for Donald Trump. He's going to get all the delegates in Nevada, all the delegates in South Carolina. Super Tuesday, he's going to wipe the board with Nikki Haley. She's not going to be able to consolidate her resources all into one state like she was able to do with New Hampshire or South Carolina. And the more she loses, the less momentum she has and the less support she will receive. So the real reason why she's staying in is to weaken Trump. We know that. And she is somebody who represents the globalist uniparty. She is a neocon. She's Bush 2004 on steroids, and that we know, but she's getting rejected by real Republicans in these primaries, and she will continue to be rejected overall by the voters of these primaries. And the more that the election cycle goes on, well, she's going to lose more ground upon more ground upon more ground. And as a result, she's going to be completely cooked. I mean, she's already cooked. The bird brain is cooked. It's cooked chicken. But either way, it's like there's no path forward. There's not. This is only just to weaken Trump, make him utilize more resources, but it's not going to matter. Trump is still stronger than ever. Nikki Haley has fallen behind Trump in the polls. DeSantis has dropped out and endorsed Donald Trump. So have pretty much every other challenger that Donald Trump has had on the Republican side. The Republican Party in the real world, not on Twitter, is pretty much unified behind Donald Trump. So we need to do our part now and try to do everything we can do to get out the votes necessary in October and November of 2024 so we can go out there and defeat Joe Biden and put Donald Trump back in the White House. Nikki Haley is not exactly going to be somebody that has the influence to stop that, but she sure as hell is going to try in the intermediary, and she's going to get completely shellacked down the stretch. So we'll see if she drops out after South Carolina. We'll see if she drops out after Super Tuesday. But either way, when Super Tuesday hits and she doesn't win a single state, maybe she gets close in Vermont, who knows, then she's going to drop out. That's going to be the end of Haley. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.